So when you think of Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or any other tabletop RPG that involves combat, typically you're going to think of the dragon, the lich, the evil wizard, what have you is the big bad evil guy in the game and the ultimate villain. And while that's true, those things probably are the ultimate villain of the characters. I think sometimes the villain of the players and the DM are the dice. Now, hear me out. The dice serve a very important purpose. A lot of people like to roll the dice and see what the results are. And in combat, they're more or less necessary. Can you get around combat without them? Absolutely. But more often than not, you're going to use them. What I'm talking about is the dice or the villains of non combat scenarios in the game. It's really easy to rely on the dice to make decisions. And when you rely on the dice too much, things get out of hand. What I mean, and I've read several books about dungeon mastering, game mastering. I've read dungeon masters guides, all of these things, the ones that are published by the companies, the ones that are third party and other people made them. And there's a trend in these things that say, hey, don't allow players to roll dice if something is impossible. Now, that seems like information for the game master, and a lot of times it probably is. But I think players need to think about it in this way. Do I want to be rolling dice when I can affect the outcome by what I do rather than putting the outcome into a roll? I'll give you an example. Let's say you are walking down a corridor and there is an enemy hiding around the corner. There's two ways you can approach this. As a player, you can go, hey, I'm going to search the corridor to see if someone's hidden. It's very general, and a lot of times that is going to result in the game master saying, make a perception check, spot hidden check, whatever it's called in your game. They're going to ask you to roll dice. Now, if you're a player and you're walking down a corridor and you want to search for someone that's hidden, and I'm using this walking down a corridor intentionally, it's not a good place to hide. And there's a bunch of branching passages, and you say, I want to look down the right passage. If the enemy is hiding there, you look, you see them, no roll was made, and now you're in more control of what's going on. Conversely, for the game master, if you've got an enemy hiding there and somebody looks around the corner, don't make the player roll for something the character would obviously see. It's a waste of everyone's time, and it's kind of a bad way to go about things. Requiring rolls for things that they shouldn't be required for is just as bad as letting players roll for things that are impossible. They waste time, and they kind of just take away the fun from the game. For another example, let's go with a player, let's say, wanting to hide in a very open spot. I'm going to use the roll for impossible idea. You're out in the open or in an empty corridor, you want to hide, and you say, hey, I want to try to hide in this corridor. There's nothing to hide behind. The game master should not say, roll to see how good you do if there's nowhere to hide. If it's dark, you can make the argument. If it's not dark, should it be allowed? I don't think so. Now let's get back to the idea of specificity. This can go way overboard. If you're a player and you're searching for a hidden trap, let's say, or not a trap, a hidden door. You're in a library, you're looking for something hidden. And the game master knows, hey, this bookshelf over here has a book. If you pull on the book, door opens. Now, a lot of players will go, I searched the room for a hidden passage. That is very general, and depending on the game master, they might not let it fly. They might go, you need to give me more to work with. Some game masters may go, where specifically are you looking? If you're a player and you hear that where specifically, that's probably your cue to take more control of what's going on rather than saying, hey, I'm going to leave it in the hands of the dice. So the player's in the room, they're in the library, and they say, I want to search the bookshelf for a hidden latch. Okay, so there's two ways you can handle it. One, the game master can go, you search the bookshelf, you find it, because they looked in the general location, and we don't want to be super nitpicky. It's possible to be too specific about this, and this is going to depend on players and game masters, and it kind of is a give and take until you figure out the sweet spot. So the GM can go, okay, you search the bookshelf, good enough, you find the secret. Other times you can say, well, it's a little bit harder in that you search the specific thing and then you have them make a roll, but the game master is more likely than not going to adjust the roll to make it a little bit easier because you're not searching the whole room, or you're not taking 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes of in-game time to do it. Specificity helps, because if you just say, I searched the room, you roll a dice, it's a bad roll, well, you've kind of just missed everything in the room because you left it up to chance and the dice. And then normally something like that follows with, well, can I search it again? What I tell my players typically is, if you did a roll like that, that represents your best effort, and that room's kind of been checked unless you want to spend another hour or so in this one room. Use time to kind of move it along. So as players, try to be specific about what you're doing. Don't overdo it. You can way overdo it. I think one of the examples in one of the books I read was, if you're searching a bookcase, you don't have to say, I take my dagger and I tap the first book. I tap the second book. I tap the third book. That's way too much. And if you're a game master and you're requiring that, that's too much. Stop. But as a player, don't just give the control of the game to the dice. Are you there to play the game, or are the dice there to play the game? As a game master, let people be specific and get away with not having to roll from time to time. It speeds the game up, and it actually helps improve the game overall. It's a give and take, like I said, and it does take some work back and forth. And yes, as a game master, sometimes I have let things go without rolls. I probably should have made them, but I haven't regretted it. And I have definitely made people roll for things I shouldn't have because it drug things out. I tend to err on the side of you don't have to roll if it's something reasonable. Once again, give it a try. It's worth your time to get away from the dice a little bit and see how it works for you.